let's go ahead. So let me start by introducing myself. So my name is Sjoerd Alkema. It's a very Dutch name, and that's where we are in the Netherlands. I've worked in enterprise content management for around 12 years already now. I used to work for large system integrators, Capgemini, Unisys, and now 3 years almost already for this very cool company called Xillio. And within Capgemini, maybe that's good to mention, I was responsible for the ECM propositions we brought out to the market. So I saw a lot of our large ECM vendors as partners. So the IBMs, OpenText, EMC, which is now, of course, also OpenText, but also Nuxeo, Alfresco, talking to them about how we should position ourselves into the market. So also talking about the market changes. So now leading our services team at Xillio. Xillio, we created a platform for migration and integration. Of course, you'll hear more about that in this webinar. And we have our own services department who's doing those migrations and integrations all over the world. Some technical stuff about the webinar. So it has 2 audio options. It's voice over IP and dial in. So if you can't hear me right now, then one of the options is still an option. And the other thing is questions, like Ashley mentioned just now. They can be submitted during the webinar, and after the webinar I'll also take some time to answer the ones asked, and also some time to ask new ones. If you, after the webinar, think of some questions, also feel free to just email them to webinar@xillio.com. So the webinar agenda. I started with the introduction of myself and a little bit of Xillio. I want to stand still because it's the context of where we are at the ECM market, which is changing. Then, of course, we're talking about Documentum. So I wanna take a moment to look at Documentum now at OpenText, how they are doing. I've talked a lot with people from OpenText, visited the OpenText Innovation Days, talked to clients, so I have a good feeling of what's happening. Then I want to talk about migration from Documentum, of course. How do you do it? What's the approach? Integration with Documentum. I will have a short summary, and then we have some time for questions. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention. My sound is off because otherwise you hear everything come back for everybody. So if you have a question, really use the chat box because I won't hear if you talk. So where's the ECM market going? It's very interesting times for us ECM consultants and being in this branch of work, because it's changing a lot. We could also say content services, platforms and applications, because that's what Gartner just brought out there. So they are introducing a new term, which actually I think makes a lot of sense. Of course, ECM is still also broadly used, but the concept is interesting, and it's really true that it's no longer really about managing the content of your enterprise, but it's more about the services and the processes around it. So I think in that way this is a good thing, and I will talk about it more later. But we see that the market is really going there, and organizations are also realizing that it's not just one solution for all and managing your content and then you're optimized. No, there's more to it than that. One example, which I find a very interesting company, they have a very good vision, I think. They talk themselves about the future of ECM, and they actually say we have an intelligent metadata layer and we connect to other sources. We know that we're not going to be the one solution, but we can connect to other sources of content that are out there, and with that connection present it all within the same metadata scheme or layer that you have for the actual application of M files. So the user will have all the same facets. The user will have the same feeling, look and feel. And I think this is a very interesting concept, and and Gartner also likes it. Then one-time Gartner again. I think what is really changing the market right now is the fact that the enterprise file sync and share, which you see the quadrant of here, is disrupting the market. So the old ECM providers, or old the ones that are out there for quite some time, like OpenText, like IBM, they are feeling they are really disrupted by the enterprise file sync and share market, because they're so easy. They're in the cloud. They're very lightweight. They're easy to use. They have free subscription options, and so you can't really get out of those anymore. They will be there. So this is also where the market is going, and also means that one solution is not going to be happening anymore in your organization. And then, of course, what we're talking about here is Documentum, EMC company before, and they also have created Leap. And Leap really is what is the perfect explanation of where the market is going, because what they created is actually a content application platform where you can create your own content applications. So say you need some process around your finance, you can easily create it using the repository behind it, and that of course was Documentum, but I guess OpenText now will also put in Content Server, their old product for that. But they really get where the market is going. It's about the processes. It's about it's about the agility you want around your content processes. It's not about managing the content only anymore. So I hope this gives a good we have no sound. Oh, yeah, no sound. Okay, sorry. I was reading a question, but it was that he has no sound. So I hope the rest is able to hear me. So what we see is that organizations are realizing that it's not just about using and optimizing content anymore. It's just about using and optimizing, sorry, and not about just storing it. Like I said, that was really how we thought about it before. It's about specific processes, and there's no one solution that fits all. How I see the architecture around that is as following. So this is actually also a little bit what Leap is, but I think I see it as independent things. This is more a concept. It's also how we see it. So the Content Hub is actually what we as Xillio provide. So I see a layer with applications that are in the context of the business user or business process. Can be different applications, can be very small processes, can be larger processes, can be many processes within one application, but still there will be many apps in the context. Then I see a layer that has connectors and APIs to those processes. And then I see a layer of repositories and foundation services like versioning, like check-in, check-out, that will be in the repository. But the actual process and working with it is in the apps layer. But of course you have to connect them all. So looking at the search, they will need to go to all the repositories. Looking at the finance process or the sales process, probably they will have content that will need to go to the archive. So there's this orchestrator or hub necessary to manage all those content processes. And this is really where I see the future going. So also integrating cloud services with your legacy repositories at your organization within your own network, things like that. This is where it is going, and we see it happening actually as we speak. So now a little bit about Documentum and my feel about it. So you probably all know Documentum very well, maybe OpenText as well, or a little bit less. So OpenText has Content Server, which has a nice interface. They are quite good at that. Its user experience is quite well, and it's a product that's out there quite long. They also have eDocs, by the way, which is more a legacy product, but still out there and used at smaller organizations. I also know large implementations, but they position it to smaller organizations. So that's two ECM products already they have. And then now they have a Documentum. This is the one with the D2 interface, but there's also, of course, XCP to the same repository. They have kind of the same thing as Content Server they bought. So that's interesting in terms of acquisition. That's supposedly only market share. However, they also have Leap, at least as a concept. I haven't seen a lot of it yet. It's of course very in developing, but EMC had Leap, and I think this is one of the most interesting acquisitions for OpenText. And maybe not the most interesting, but because another one is InfoArchive, and I really love this product. We also do some migrations towards InfoArchive, where we are the central point connecting all databases that need to be migrated. And I see InfoArchive is really a good product. It's very nice. But of course, it's mostly about structured data, but it's really good, and it was missing in the OpenText stack, so that's very good. So I see mainly the acquisition as these two products as very interesting for OpenText. A little bit more on the acquisition then. So like I mentioned, InfoArchive is really a valuable addition, and Leap has great potential. Like I just mentioned, haven't seen it yet a lot. They have a few applications working in some demos I've seen, but not really the application creation. Haven't seen that yet, but the concept is really great. And then Captiva, of course, also. It's better than what was there at OpenText. Captiva, of course, being the capturing solution and some intelligent options in that. I want to stand still with some integration scenarios. So I think integration between Leap and the new repository Content Server will be focus. So they have now Leap and they have Content Server, and they want to integrate that because they want to go to Leap. They also see where the market is going, and Leap is a very good product for that. I don't really see the need to integrate Documentum and Content Server on its own, and also OpenText confirms it in the sessions I've been. They want to integrate the back end of Documentum with their front end as well, they have told. So that is leaving XCP and D2 somewhere, but there will be support for, of course, the next couple of years, but there will not be focus because they like their own front end better, and I understand actually. D2 is very configurable, but their own front end is quite well, and I think more stable. Some other thoughts, of course, the market verticals were very interesting. They are very strong in regulatory environments. And yeah, the other thought that is on the positive side for Documentum as a product, they are now part of a core business EEM vendor and should get the focus it deserves. I still see some people leaving from Documentum, however. Also see some people who are happy with it. Maybe some people can share their thoughts on it as well in the chat, because I'm very interested to hear your thoughts on that. But what we're here for is migrating from or integrating with Documentum. So why is it needed more than ever? This is it's something I read, and I put a little bit in my own wording. So there have been many ECM technologies around for decades, and the result of that is multiple systems and silos running within the company. And also there's an explosive growth in content, and SharePoint is an example that is completely exploded everything and everybody uses it, but now it's in the cloud and everybody also has it still on premises. So that's quite legacy as well. And if you want to transform your organization now, the starting point always will be, because of all this legacy, because of all these silos, will always be a migration and shutting them down, or integration of these silos. So about migrate. We see migration as an opportunity to really improve your content management, to increase productivity by adding the right metadata, by confirming to the right metadata scheme, by having it searchable for the users, so really increasing productivity. We see it as better compliancy. When we do a migration, we always have a option to dig into the content, to dig into what is in there, and determine if it's maybe confidential or not, or is it sensitive in the sense of privacy, things like that. So it's really a moment you to take to look at your compliancy. And of course lower costs, because if you migrate to at least a solution you already have, then the old solution will not have licenses anymore needed. It's not always the case, because sometimes you buy a new application, of course, but many times it lowers costs because legacy is mostly more expensive, running on old databases and things like that. We see really this as the ability to make a new strategic choice for your organization. So take the moment, know that the migration will be what the options are, and that you don't lose anything, so you can take a new strategic way. It's the ability to move towards the new architecture, of course, as content applications. And one thing, especially this is valid if you have XCP D2 implementations. Not always, because I know implementations that are very well fit around the process and you don't want to lose them. But if you're not happy with it already, then this is, I think, the time to move away, because the focus will not be on those. So what we support in Documentum is actually everything. We've done quite some migrations from Documentum, but also to, by the way. So of course we can get out the binaries, the content types, the folders, the properties of folders, and the content types, ACLs, renditions, retention policies, structure, actually anything. The only thing we're not keen on, but that's more of that it's a risky and time-consuming thing, is migrating running workflows. Everything is possible, but this is really hard, especially how do you map it to the new situation, the new product. So we've done it a lot. We've done it for 10 years already, seeing all different systems, and that's really optimized our approach. It's really proven. It's quite simple, but we always start with an extraction and then do an analysis on the content. What's the quality? What's the quantity? What is out there? What should we do? So we can make a very fine-grained plan for the future. The next phase is selection. So what do you want to take out? What do you want to take with you? Are there some duplicates maybe you want to get out of? Things like that. Then we have the mapping phase, where we map the metadata or locations to the right metadata and the right location in the target system. It's all done within our software. The enrichment is a very interesting one. There we can use auto-classification modules or business rules, for instance, to get out text or to determine the document type if it's not right or not well in the source system. Next phase is transformation, where we actually put together all the rules that are out there and build a large transformation so we can import it. Next phase is of course then the import to the new system, and we can use delta runs if necessary. If the old system Documentum is very important, it's business sensitive, then we can do it in delta runs. For us as a company, we're really about adding value at the moment of migration. So what we do not like is to just take everything out and put it in a new system, and we all know the term garbage out is garbage in, or garbage in is garbage out. We don't like that, and we've seen a lot of migrations where we are asked to fix the migration actually that was done by by themselves or another party, which has created chaos in the new system. So migration architecture, it's always about extracting, transforming, and loading. I've tried to make it as clear as possible how we do it. So we have the source Documentum. We have a default Documentum connector. Then we start with the analysis. We do it within our own unified data model that is built on the experience we have. It's around having an object with metadata, and we of course know a lot of metadata already that is always out there. It can be extended by the specific situation of your organization, but it's a unified data model, and if you want to migrate other sources, it's very easy to connect to it, and you know it is transformed to the right data model to put in the new system. So for us it's efficient, but also for the customer. The transformation is done with the different modules running on the unified data model, adding metadata and enriching the information, and then of course we can put it in a new system. Deduplicating, restructuring, auto-classification, those are all things that are done with the modules on the unified data model, and then it's ready to load in the new system. Also using our big set of default connectors. It's really conceptual, high level, but I hope this is a clear picture. Some final things on migration. This is what our Xillio platform ensures, because we've done a lot. We've encountered all the problems already and fixed it within functions in our platform. So we are really, what it ensures is the control of the migration process. It's a very flexible platform. It's all built within our own scripting IDE, scripting language, which is edited in our IDE. And every moment within a migration you can do some logging or reporting, so you're really in control. And also the next point, you're fully auditable because you know everything. It's not a black box. So logging is possible in every activity in the process. The flexibility, that's mainly because of it's a language, and you can do anything in between, for instance the transformation process. So say you want to add another database which has some data that you want to have added as a metadata field, you can just put it in, make it a step in the transformation process, get the data out, put it in the metadata field and load it to the new system. And also business rules, we are not limited by some set of business rules or some set of data you can put them on. No, they are also created in our scripting language, which is a very easy high-level language with 100+ functions that are really built for content and metadata actions. So these business rules are completely to be set with regards to the requirements of the client, actually. So value, that's very important what we deliver. Then integration, and some thoughts on this. I really see integration, and then I speak of a content hub or even content service bus, how you will name it. I see it as that's the future, as the future. So when you integrate and when you have this architecture set, then you're ready for the future. So when you integrate Documentum, then you also have options with the content services bus for other interesting integration scenarios around content. For instance, really one access point and disclosing information from more content service. Or for instance, central archiving is a very interesting use case. So you have one records management environment but several applications around content that end up in it, because of course maybe the legal requirements of your organizations are all the same for everybody, but not everybody wants to work in the process in the same system. And another one is enterprise search. It's already out there, but they will be very happy to just connect to one layer and then have the layer, the content hub, handle all the connections to all the different other sources. And of course you have more content processes and access optimization opportunities when you'll have the option to connect different systems and to run processes through different systems. Of course, if you integrate, migration will always, often at least, be a part of this, because it's always a little bit of a mix between cleaning up and what do you want to keep and integrate. So why and how should you integrate? Why? Because yeah, it says here enterprise file share and sync, but I also think other more easy to use enterprise content management applications are coming. They are there to stay, but they're separate from your legacy ECM or records management applications. So we really see a growing demand for integration of these enterprise file sync and share systems and new ECM systems with legacy ECM stack. The drivers mainly are optimized user experience, because they want one interface, for instance, but also auditability and compliancy and process flow optimization. Actually, our integration it's not the same as our migration, but we can integrate easily because we have been migrating all the systems for years and years. It also, of course, uses our out-of-the-box connectors. The unified data model is really something that is necessary with the integration, because it allows you to be very agile and to connect sources very quickly. The ETL process that is within the migration, so adding metadata or deduplication, the transformation part, that's really interesting also for an integration layer as the enrichment. It's very scalable and it's very flexible. A very very simple integration architecture would look like this. It's not really about the transformation. Of course, you can still do it, but it's more about the control. And then on the other side, the extract and load, of course, go both ways. But in a way, it's quite the same as the migration architecture. I have an example of a large client in the Netherlands we're working on right now about an integration, just to make it a little bit more understandable. It's about integrating an archive. So they have some legacy flows going into their Documentum. Well, as an example, I use Documentum here into their legacy archive. Those flows come from third-party companies that have invoices and contracts just going in there directly. So that it's working very well, and they're all under the right records management policies and things. So it's quite good. However, users are working with box, and they're creating projects and also finance that's being done in box. So what they wanted is, for projects, they wanted to see the contracts that were set up for the different projects that they were working on, and finance wanted to see invoices, but they didn't want to go to the old repository every time anymore. They said, we are working with box, we created our process in box. So it's just a view, it's a very easy one, so it's read-only. It's just a view on the Documentum repository built based on some metadata that make sure it ends up in the right box environment or file. But the users are very happy, and the Documentum repository is still there and is still applying all the necessary legal and records management policies. So this is how it looks. Hope that makes sense. So just as a kind of a summary on migration or integration, I think migrate, you should do it when your content can be improved or your content management system can be improved. It's really taking the opportunity to assess your content in your system. And you can improve it by adding metadata or selecting valuable content, for instance. So not all the old stuff that is not of value anymore is in your new system. Of course, interesting when migrating is that you don't have the license costs of the old Documentum repository anymore. And you would create, if you go to a new system and you take multiple systems to that, you would create a less complex information or content landscape. Integration, the drivers there. So when you would do it, when the repository is good, but not the primary interface, as the example I just showed. So when you want one access point for the users within new solutions. And keeping alive the automated processes that we see a lot that are being stored in an archive. So those are really the invoices and contracts I was just talking about that don't change anymore. We see them a lot of Documentum implementations that are really built on the regulatory requirements, but not so much on the user experience. So if you want to have that, but you want to give the user the new ECM or the enterprise file sync share solution, integrate with the legacy. And of course, there's still license needed when you integrate because you're still using it, but the users are not on it anymore, so maybe it's less license actually. And at least there's less maintenance on it because you don't change on that side anymore. So a very quick look at the platform right now, because I was talking about how we do it, but what do we use? So this is what we use. It's very easy. We have a Xillio IDE, which is the core of the platform. It's our developer environment where we rapidly create transformation robots, we call them. And that is also where all the default connectors are built in. So that's where we load them in. And you can also then add the properties. So say you want to connect to a system which is in a certain location, then the properties are the location, and you change it and you connect. But it's a language, it's a scripting language, so it's very flexible and you can do anything you want. Then we have the unified data model. We see it as an Esperanto for content sources. So when you have that well defined, you can easily connect to everything. You just need some mapping to the model, and you can be very agile as an organization. The server environment, it's where the scheduler is, it's where the user management is, it's where the logging is. It's the runtime really of the robots and the transformation that you use. And then we have the modules. We have now two. It's the classifier, auto classifier I should say. It's where you learn the system to understand document types. So say you have contracts, invoices, reports. Just learn the system how to identify them by creating a mathematical model and use it against your total content set. The deduplicator and versioning, we use also the content of a document to identify if they look alike. So maybe they are a version. We use this a lot when we, for instance, migrate from file shares where there are a lot of versions or duplicates. The connectors we now have, this is already old actually, but we have them for almost every system. And when we don't know a system, then we create it and it's very quickly done. But you see Documentum is there and the OpenText is there, Live Link, the old OpenText, the eDocs we have, but also Box, Dropbox, and all. We're talking about ECM now, but we have done a lot of migrations to web content management as well, so they are out there as well. So quickly a summary of this webinar. The ECM market really is shifting and changing. It's very fun to work in, but if your organization is struggling with it, then now is really the time to act, because now you can use the insights that have been done during the last decades, and I think where it's now going, it will stay for a while. So OpenText, I think they will move towards Leap with Content Server and Documentum repositories. And it's really the most interesting solution for them. They really will have focus on that. XCP, WebTop, D2 will have support, but as they say, they want to change it to OpenText interfaces. If you're thinking about it, getting away from Documentum, use this momentum then to make a strategic choice and use your migration strategically and improve your processes and content quality. And when your Documentum repository does work, so for instance in the regulatory environment, then why not integrate with your new modern enterprise file sync and share and ECM products. So this is the summary. I saw a question coming in, so that's where we are right now. Questions. So if you have any, just shoot. I will see if we have what the question was. So there's asked, does connectors work irrespective of the versions of ECM products which we migrate? No, that's not. Well, sometimes it is, but that's then a coincidence. But if we create a connector, we create it for a version. So of course there are a lot of development on the products as well, and APIs might change. So then we have a new version for the connector as well. I hope that answers the question. All right. Well, if there are no questions, then probably it was very, very clear. That is good. Oh, I see one question coming in. So if we have experience also in, I think I mentioned if we experience also in migrating towards Documentum. So say you want to integrate, but you also have some different legacy applications around, and you want to keep Documentum as the main archive. So yes, we do. Actually, we do a very large project now at the Dutch National Police where we migrate 26 different ECM environments to one central Documentum environment. So also that we have experience with. All right. Well, then that's it. If there are any other questions, please email them to webinar@xillio.com. And I hope it was a good story. I hope you enjoyed. I did. So maybe see you next time. Thank you.